NBA coaches judge talent very differently than fans do. For them, a great player is defined by decision-making, consistency, and the power to make teammates better. That is exactly why Nikola Jokić stands out. His basketball IQ is on another level. Even when he is not on the floor, he feels like part of the coaching staff, reading the game, directing teammates, and controlling the rhythm the way a true strategist shapes an entire team, without forcing shots or chasing numbers night after night consistently.
Well, we've seen all of these injured stars for Denver very active through this game. Nikola Jokić coaching up Peyton Watson during that last time out.
But when Jokić actually steps on the court and shifts from observer to strategist, NBA coaches can't help but marvel at how complete his game truly is. He doesn't dominate in the loud, highlight-driven way many fans expect from a superstar. Instead, his influence shows up through timely scoring, intelligent defense rather than athletic theatrics, and total control of possessions with an understanding that feels almost chess-like. His greatness isn't built on flash. It's built on reading angles, anticipating rotations, manipulating defenses, and choosing the right option every single time. Because coaches understand these details better than anyone, they're usually the first to realize that what Jokić does goes beyond impressive and borders on unbelievable. That's why it's worth listening directly to NBA coaches as they explain why Nikola Jokić is, in their eyes, an impossibly good and uniquely dominant player whose impact reshapes games, seasons, and championship expectations across the entire league today.
It gets tiresome is like people criticize Nicole's defense because he doesn't average 3 blocks a game. But if you really are a basketball purist and you watch the game and you see he's got some of the best hands in the NBA, bar none. I think he's top 5 or 6 in deflections per game. He breaks a pass.
Michael Malone has spent years pushing back against the lazy narrative surrounding his former center, and his defense of Jokić always cuts straight to the core of the issue. Malone consistently points out that most criticism comes from people who don't truly understand how defense works. He explains Jokic's value with a level of clarity few can match. When Malone breaks down Jokic's defensive impact, the argument becomes even stronger. Jokić doesn't rely on speed or flashy shot blocking. He wins by beating opponents to their spots, reading plays before they fully develop, and using positioning, anticipation, and timing to remove options long before a shot ever goes up. Malone's insight reveals a truth many fans overlook. Jokic's defensive success is not accidental or hidden. It is built on intelligence, discipline, and an elite understanding of the game, qualities that coaches recognize, respect, and value far more than raw athletic displays alone.
Never going to athleticize anybody, but he is going to outsmart you. Tremendous anticipation, great hands, and I think one of the most underrated defenders in each.
Steve Kerr saw it firsthand during a matchup where Jokić controlled every part of the game without recording a single block. Kerr left amazed because Jokić dictated the tempo, stopped drives before they started, and reshaped defensive spacing through positioning and anticipation alone. It wasn't a defensive showing fans usually celebrate, but it was exactly the kind coaches immediately recognize as elite, a quiet masterclass in controlling the rhythm and flow of a game without highlight plays on the biggest stages possible.
I mean, it's a lot to ask of Draymond to guard him, the entire time out there. He's just, such a dominant force in every way. He's so smart defensively, had 4 steals, anticipated a couple of passes that he stole. The pass at the end to Gordon for the dunk, but I think with 2 minutes left that was kind of right behind him. He didn't. I don't even think he saw him. He just knew he would be there. And so Jokić controlled the game, 16 assists. I'm willing to bet they don't lose much, if at all, when he gets 16 assists, because that means everybody else is.
Once you understand how Jokić defends the game through pure intelligence, his offensive impact becomes even more frightening because everything he does begins long before a dribble or a shot. For Nuggets coach David Adelman, the real challenge starts the moment Jokić touches the ball, or even earlier. His danger comes from instantly reading the floor, identifying weaknesses before defenses can react, and setting traps with vision and timing. Adelman explains that opponents are already in trouble the second Jokić surveys the court because he processes options faster than anyone else, turning every possession into a puzzle only he knows how to solve. Legendary NBA coach Greg Popovich has spent decades game planning against the greatest defensive and offensive forces the league has ever produced. Even so, he admits that trying to describe Jokić using normal basketball language feels almost impossible. Popovich has faced elite scorers, brilliant playmakers, and once-in-a-generation physical athletes across multiple eras. Yet Jokic doesn't fit neatly into any of those categories. He bends the game in ways that challenge traditional coaching definitions. Despite all his experience, Popovich often searches for the right words, because Jokic's brilliance isn't just scoring, passing, or playmaking. It's the seamless way he blends every element together into something basketball has never quite seen before.
Jokic, he's too damn good. It's not fair, all the things he can do. And, he's so funny. I love the guy. He doesn't look like he's doing anything. He's not going fast. He's not jumping high. It's kind of Larry Birdish, in a way. But talk about skills and anticipation and decisions. He's fantastic. Great hands, scores in every which way, involves all his teammates. So he's the head of the snake.
And just wait until you hear Popovich explain why he never showed Victor Wembanyama a single film session of Nikola Jokić, a choice that reveals more about Jokic's uniqueness than any statistic ever could. Before that, it helps to understand why the Larry Bird comparison matters. Bird didn't destroy defenses with elite athleticism or blazing speed. He broke them with angles, patience, and the ability to punish the smallest mistake. Jokic follows that same blueprint. He dismantles defenses not by overpowering them, but by outthinking them, reading every rotation like a chessboard. Tom Thibodeau explains it from a coach's nightmare perspective. You can take away one action, even two, and Jokic immediately pivots to a third or fourth option, because he sees the entire possession developing seconds before everyone else reacts. That awareness turns every defensive scheme into a guessing game. Coaches know they're already losing before tip-off begins.
I mean, Jokic is, obviously, it's his uniqueness, and he's a load to deal with, MVP candidate every year. And it's not just, what he's doing, it's what he's bringing out of his team as well. So, very unique, very skilled, tough, smart, very gifted passer, playmaker, can beat you with the shot, the dribble, the post, the pass. The decision making is very unique.
But what truly places Jokic in a category no other superstar occupies is what happens when he decides not to score at all. That is when his brilliance becomes even more dangerous. Coach Quinn Snyder sees something deeper than vision or passing alone. He sees a player who controls the geometry of the court. When Jokic shifts into facilitator mode, he bends defenses in ways they were never designed to move, warping spacing, pulling help defenders out of position, and creating scoring chances that would not exist without him. Snyder explains that Jokic does not simply make the correct pass. He forces defenses to collapse under the pressure of what he might do next, freeing teammates to thrive without him taking a single shot. It is offensive influence that moves beyond skill and into orchestration, making Jokic a rare superstar whose greatest weapon is what he empowers everyone else to do on the court every single night across the league.
Player, and his ability to orchestrate a game. But the other thing, I think equally, there's a level of kind of humility with which he plays. It's more than him being unselfish, trying to grab onto some things. Don't just say he's a great player, because he's obviously that. But that
humility sits at the core of everything the Nuggets do, because Jokic never controls possessions just to make a point. Instead, he uses his presence to create space for others to shine. That trust builds over the course of a game like compound interest. Teammates move freely without fear of being overlooked, and the pace naturally speeds up because they know Jokic has already processed the next action before the defense even realizes what's coming. Rick Carlisle explains that this dynamic forces opponents to abandon traditional defensive principles entirely. The usual rules no longer apply against a player who can punish any coverage, anticipate every rotation, and exploit the smallest lapse in positioning with flawless timing and precision.
They do some things unconventionally because of his unconventional abilities. And
those unconventional decisions stem from pure desperation, as defending Jokic often forces teams into switches that should never happen. Double teams appear in spots no coach would normally send help, and rotations leave shooters wide open simply because it feels like the only way to survive the next pass. Jokic takes a perfectly structured defensive scheme and twists it into controlled chaos, turning disciplined units into reactive groups scrambling just to keep up. Jason Kidd puts it simply: when facing Jokic, you aren't defending a play, you're defending a mind that processes the game faster and clearer than anyone else. That alone is enough to dismantle even the most carefully designed defensive systems, leaving opponents constantly one step behind. reacting rather than dictating, and struggling to contain a player who operates on an entirely different level.
It's incredible what, the Joker's career. He's a champion, MVP. You can list him as a center, but he's a point guard. He fills up the stat sheet. It's great that he's done. I just don't want the older guy to leave me. So hopefully the older guy stays right where he's at. But he's gonna get 108 or 107 here. The way he's playing, he looks like he's young. So, but it's cool. He has a chance to get a lot of triple doubles.
I don't think anybody can do what Nikola does. I haven't shown him. He's a one-off, amazing, fantastic.
It's remarkable what Jokic has accomplished in his career. A champion and MVP, and yet he defies traditional categorization. While you can list him as a center, he operates more like a point guard, orchestrating the floor and filling up the stat sheet in ways most players can't. Despite his accolades, he still plays with the energy and vision of someone much younger, making it feel effortless even as defenses struggle to contain him. Jokic has a rare ability to draw double teams and punish them with precision, constantly keeping defenders off balance while controlling the game's rhythm. What sets him apart is how he plays the game. Jokic doesn't require the offense to adjust around him. Everything flows through him naturally, with seamless timing and anticipation. Every trip down the floor becomes a test of reading the defense, and he is always a step ahead. This level of basketball intelligence, executed consistently without relying on athletic explosiveness, is nearly impossible to replicate. It's no wonder Coach Popovich once refused to show Victor Wembanyama any Jokic film. Studying other elite big men can provide lessons, but trying to replicate Jokic isn't just difficult. It's virtually impossible. He's not just a star. He's the engine of an entire system, redefining what a dominant player looks like on the court.
Obviously, Jokic was amazing. I mean, he just completely dominated that game and put us on our heels over.
NBA legend Greg Popovich has suggested that even uniquely talented player like Victor Wembanyama can't replicate what Nikola Jokic does. And that says it all. Jokic's combination of basketball IQ, anticipation, and instantaneous decision-making is nearly unteachable. You either have it or you don't. This is what makes him so extraordinary and why imagining another star built in the same mold feels almost impossible. Even Steve Kerr has echoed this sentiment, briefly but powerfully acknowledging just how singular and one-of-a-kind the Joker truly is, a player who redefines what it means to dominate the game.
What was special about coaching the Joker?
Oh, good question.
Well, I tell you, the things that always blew me away, Ernie, when you talk about Nikola Jokic.
Even with all the praise Jokic receives, what amazes his former coach most is his unmatched consistency. Night after night, he delivers unbelievable plays without any drop-off. It's not just raw talent, it's the reliability and steadiness of his brilliance that truly sets him apart from every other player in the league. Intro 13. That relentless consistency is a key reason Jokic is such a natural leader, but it's only part of the story. Coach Eric Spoelstra highlights qualities in Nikola Jokic that often go unnoticed, traits beyond scoring, passing, or raw basketball IQ. Spoelstra points to his quiet competitiveness, calm control of the game, and deep understanding of team flow, all of which elevate everyone around him. These subtle, often overlooked elements are what make Jokic not just a star, but a complete cornerstone capable of shaping the success of any franchise.